what's up you guys? Century Productions here, and welcome to the Watchtower series. If you're new here, this is just basically a deep dive into my toy photography. I show you how I light my setups, how I pose my figures, basically any and everything to do with my toy photography. For this episode, I'm kind of playing around with comic book covers, trying to recreate them the best I can. It's one of my favorite things when it comes to toy photography. I like taking like iconic, cool, interesting comic book covers and recreating them with like the trade dress and the corner cover box, the newsstand barcode, the direct barcode, all that stuff. I think it's kind of a fun challenge, and I always like challenging myself and doing something a little bit new. Right here we're playing around with Captain America number 332. This is a cover by Mike Zeck. Kind of a iconic Captain America cover. In this story, basically the government wants Captain America to become like an entity for the government itself. Very kind of like Civil War-ish kind of storyline, but this predates Civil War by almost 20 years. And basically at the end of this book, he turns in his uniform, very reminiscent of the John Romita cover from Amazing Spider-Man number 50, where Spider-Man throws away his Spider-Man costume. Very iconic cover as well, which I've also recreated, as you can see right here. That comic cover, the ASM number 50, is probably my grail of all grails for comic books. I'm going to get it one day. But in the meantime, playing around with this figure and this kind of little setup I've got right here. I made all this, man. I made this just with construction paper. I cut it all out, sized it all out. I was trying to make it as close as I could to the actual comic cover. I did a couple things here that I thought might help me try to get it as close to that cover. If you can see the trade dress, let me show you side by side real quick. So if I haven't already, you can see that the trade dress is at an angle. So in order to play around with that, what I did is I kind of made this star background. This is obviously the American flag, and I kind of put this at an angle just because I wasn't sure if I would be able to match the angle if I showed this just straight like right here. So I kind of put it at an angle just to help me a little bit. Of course, my buddy Jorge is going to be adding the trade address and the corner cover box and all the other accents to really make this cover come to life. But I'm doing like the meat and the potatoes of the whole shot right here. Took these strips of construction paper and just cut little strands in them, very identical to the actual cover. This is kind of like a cool little cover to work on because I kind of let my creativity kind of take over, and I kind of built this little diorama, which, if you really think about it, it's like 3 pieces of construction paper, white, red, black, and I guess some blue, and it's like $4. And I didn't have to buy an expensive dial or anything. I just kind of took my time and made this. It probably took me about 3 hours to put all this together, glue stick all these little strands together, cut the holes, make the stars, all that stuff. But it's kind of paying off right now because I get to play around and make this cover, and I think it looks really cool. So also playing around with the idea of like which Captain America I wanted to use. For this shot, I went ahead and went with the Toybiz 20th Anniversary Captain America. Said this plenty of times, I think this is the definitive Captain America. It's got the iconic, classic, light blue Captain America colors, very articulated. There's only one thing left to add to these Captain America action figures that Hasbro has yet to do, and that's add butterfly joints. Once they do that, we will have a definitive Captain America, and we will no longer need them to just keep popping them out and just kind of flooding the market with all the Captain Americas. We really need those butterfly joints. The Bucky Captain America that's coming out does have butterfly joints on the Vulcan body, so looking forward to that one. But a classic one with butterfly joints, that'd be cool. So yeah, this is kind of the little setup. Alright, so if you guys watched my last episode, I've been kind of playing around with getting a little bit closer to these setups, and I just wanted to show you guys everything that's going on. When you're working with the construction paper and putting glue sticking them to each other, sometimes you get little spots like that. It's not that big a deal. As you can see, the lights, I've got a light right here. This is my LED light strip light. That's kind of like the whole setup. I've got this Ulanzi RGB color LED light. That's to kind of eliminate some of the shadows from behind the Captain America. There's still a couple showing up, but then I got my garage kit over here. And that's just giving him a little bit of side lighting. And then I had my Lume Cube panel mini kind of situated right here, and that's to provide him with a lot of light on the front of this this figure. Now we're working with a lot of bright colors, so we got the blues, the red, the white. You guys are kind of noticing, you're probably like, why aren't the stars white, and why is this background of the where it's supposed to be blue black? Well, on the cover it's actually black, so I was just trying to match the cover. Made all the stars, made all the stripes, cut everything out. And then a funny thing that I kind of had to work on for this shot is I actually had to desaturate a lot of it, because you know there's a lot of bright colors, so I didn't want it too bright. I didn't want the blues and the reds to be overwhelming to the actual shot. And if you look at the actual cover, they're kind of toned down a bit, so I kind of toned them down a little bit in my shot as well. And I think it kind of came out just the way I wanted to. I'm really happy with how this looks. Let me kind of give you guys a view of what we got in the viewfinder. It's kind of how the shots look, and I obviously have it in portrait mode and more at an angle, but overall I'm really liking how this shot turned out. So I'm gonna hand it over to Jorge, who's under Lord Tutanus on Instagram. He's a toy photographer as well. He's a wizard with Photoshop. He makes all kinds of cool stuff, and we always have fun kind of chatting back and forth because we love doing these covers. He's made tons of covers, I've made tons of covers, so I'm gonna hand it over to Jorge and see what he does with this cover. But yeah, this was a really cool little shot to work on. Captain America is my guy. I think this story was excellent, very iconic late 80s cover, and I'm glad I was able to replicate it. And I don't think you're gonna see anybody else tackle this specific cover, because it's kind of, I personally think it's iconic, but you know, it's late 80s. I know that a lot of the fans for like the late 80s comics, they're more Silver Age. More people are into Silver Age and all that stuff, but I think for me, I think I'm starting to lean more into like mid 80s to late 80s. That might be my new favorite era of comics as far as the art and everything. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys like these more intimate, like Watchtower series episodes where I kind of deep dive on just one specific shot as opposed to like 10 and then them being 40 minutes long. I kind of like doing just one shot that I think is really cool and showing you everything that's going on with it. So thanks for watching. Let's check out this cover. And make sure to check out my Instagram too for more behind the scenes and all that stuff. Thanks, guys.